Hi there everybody, and welcome to another live stream with me, Martin Twycross. This is the Mediumship Clinic live question and answer class, and I'll be bringing you practical down-to-earth teachings on mediumship and development without the fluff, which is of course the strap line of my channel. So if you're joining me on the replay, it's lovely to see you. If you're here in person, it's lovely to see you too. By all means, start typing in the chat box as well. You can start loading any questions you have in there as well. So the purpose of the monthly live question answer that I do is it gives you an opportunity to pick my brains, to ask me any questions you have on mediumship, development, and spiritual related topics. And I will do my best to answer them, bringing you my trademark down-to-earth approach. I don't do airy-fairy, I don't do floaty stuff. I like to keep it grounded, I like to keep it real, I like to keep it down to earth. So if you can hear me, type in the chat box, let me know that you are receiving me loud and clear. I'm hoping that you are, but we never know with Facebook, do we? So it's always nice to know it's functioning. And hi there, Karen. So the way it works is that you can post questions in the comment in the chat box. You need to be logged into YouTube to be able to do that, I have to say, because some people ask me the question. I tried to ask a question, but I couldn't. I didn't know how. And basically the reason is you've got to be logged in. So if you're logged in, you can ask questions. What I do is I work through the questions one by one. If you would like to get your question answered sooner, then what you need to do is you can click on the super chat, which is the little dollar sign at the bottom of the box. You can make a donation of any amount that you wish, and your question will be the one that is answered next. So hi up to just me and Charlene. Glad you can hear me okay. That is good news to know that I'm coming through loud and clear. And hi to Omar, to Victoria. Good. So yeah, so by all means, have a think of some questions, pop them in the chat box. I will pop the chat box out so I can make it bigger, because otherwise it's a bit small for me to see. And it's always useful to see what's being written, isn't it? So feel free to start posting your questions in chat and I will start working through them one by one. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then do that. And also feel free to hit the like button as well. If you're watching this on the replay again, do hit the like button and do subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications so you receive notifications of future videos. I will be bringing a few out in the next month. I've not done so much on the channel of late, but I am planning to do a few more, so do keep an eye on that as well. Okay, let's get cracking with the questions. So question number one from Omar. For psychic work, I tend to look within myself, my heart. When I do mediumship, I tend to look toward the right side. Am I doing it right? Does psychic and mediumship info both come from the heart? So for me, I don't look in the heart at all, I'm afraid. For me, psychic and mediumship functions through the subconscious mind. So I don't go looking for anything within my body. Quite simply, if I'm working psychically, I'm moving into the energy of a person or an object or a place. If I'm doing mediumship, I'm making the intent to blend and connect with spirit. And that's what it is. And when I blend and connect with spirit, I'm inviting someone to draw close to me. I'm inviting someone from the spirit world to blend with me. And then I'm moving into the blend with them and exploring whatever they choose to give me. So I don't work with left side, right side, none of that, because mediumship doesn't need that. It complicates it. So for me, all we're doing is looking outside of our head. In our head, we get our imagination sometimes. When we move into our aura energy field, that's where you're going to find spirit. So for me, I don't like to complicate it. I like to keep it simple, down to earth. So psychic work for me just operates from your psychic senses, the same as mediumship, but you're making the active connection to spirit. That's the key. If you don't make that connection to spirit and move your focus to spirit, you could get it psychic. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Good, wonderful. Next question. So hello to Julia, to Louise, to Axis, to Destiny. Lovely to see you all. So does anyone have another question, or it's going to be the shortest class ever? If there aren't any more questions getting loaded, we're going to have a very, very short question answer session. Or you can give me a topic to talk about. I don't mind. What would you like to know? I'm here. Work with me. Let's see what we can cover off. And welcome to Cynthia as well. Lovely to see you. So I'm just waiting for another question. There we go. Aline and Michael, I was wondering if you could speak on the need to let go of rituals to connect, such as eating or not eating certain things. Also, how to know or feel you have a strong link with spirit. So two totally different questions within that. Let me start with the first one. The idea of rituals to connect. So I have a whole video on rituals in mediumship, which I highly recommend you watch. I talk through all sorts of different rituals that we have that sometimes do help us in our development, and other times we can learn just to let go of. Personally, I try to lose as many rituals as I can because I don't think it necessarily helps us. And what happens is those rituals can become something that we need. It can become like a comfort zone that we don't actually need. So what do you need to do to connect to spirit? You need to get excited, get active, get energized, and make the connection. Do you need your special crystal? Do you need your lucky watch? Do you need your favorite shirt? Do you need your lucky socks? Do you need any of that stuff with you? No. But what happens is if you have that stuff with you and you get used to it, it's a bit like Pavlov's dog, conditioning. Oh, I need it. If I haven't got it, I don't feel confident it's going to work. And it's a confidence thing. It's fear, it's confidence, it's within your own mind. It will always work. I've done mediumship many times when I'm just there in the audience expecting to watch a medium have a nice relaxing night. And I'm not even dressed for it. I might even be totally relaxed in t-shirt and trainers. And Martin, medium's not turned up, you're on tonight. And no preparation, no nothing, no rituals needed, just get up and do it. Setting the intent with spirit will make it happen. So absolutely, should you eat or not eat before you do mediumship? Personal choice. If you find that eating too close to doing it affects you, then you'd be better off having a longer period of time. Personally, it doesn't really make a difference to me. I don't necessarily feel you need to do this or that or the other, but you need to find out for you what works. But do check out my video on rituals and mediumship where I go through it. It probably lasts about 15 minutes, so I go in a lot more detail there. Also, how to know or feel you have a strong link with spirit. So the link with spirit is variable. That's important to recognize. Sometimes we'll have a strong link with spirit and sometimes it won't be as strong. Sometimes the spirit communicator is a really good communicator, just like people in this world. People in this world, there are some who really love talking to us, some who are big personalities, big energies. It's the same from spirit. Somebody, say you sat in a dinner party and you sat next to somebody who only spoke when they were spoken to. It's making conversation is hard work, and some from the spirit world are like that. So it feels like you haven't got a strong link when you have, but they're just not really giving you information unless you're seeking and asking for it. But the strength of the link, it comes down to two things. The strength, you need to be able to connect to spirit. If you don't connect well to spirit, it's going to be hard. So if you don't know how to connect to spirit, you need to learn that. And I do happen to have one of my videos, Mediumship Class 3, is all about connecting with spirit. I also cover how to connect to spirit in a great deal of detail in my Fundamentals of Mediumship course, as well as covering it as well in my study program. So most of my teachings cover it to a degree. If you want the really cheapest option, Mediumship Class 3, that kind of gives you all the information you would need, and it's £13 for a video. But basically, there are different tools and techniques we can use for connecting, and from intent through prayer, through visualizations, through affirmations, through using actions to create that conditioned response of connecting. We can use all of that. I go through that in great detail, but you've got to find out what works for you. So how do you know you're well connected? Well, the sign of being well connected is that the flow of information comes from spirit. The sign of being well connected is that what you're getting is good. It's working well. And you have a flow, you can feel a connection with spirit. Now, feeling the connection, again, it depends on the experience you've got. If you're just starting out as a beginner, feeling the connection can be hard work. If you're more experienced, you can feel it. Power helps you. If you don't know what power is key. I have a whole series on power and sitting in the power, and I highly recommend you check that out as well. So hopefully that helps you. But how do you know you have a strong link? because it's working. That's the key. It needs to be working, and you should feel it to some degree. Hopefully that helps. Next question, Axis. What are your views on getting spirit to order? If the sitter wants mum, do you get her? I never got spirit to order. I'm not sure if I feel comfortable doing so. So yeah, this is a tricky one. I don't believe that mediums can always get spirit to order. I don't believe it's possible. I've seen mediums advertise it. I don't personally. I think that if you advertise it, you're setting yourself up for failure. You know, the mediums who advertise it, I'd love to go along to them and say, right, this is who I want, because some of my loved ones in spirit have never been through. People I know in spirit, friends as well, have never been through a medium. Now, I would love to test some of these mediums by, okay, this is who I want. I want all of these who have not been through, despite there being multiple, dozens upon dozens, or even hundreds of opportunities to connect to me in services, in sit-ins. They've never come through. So what makes somebody think that they could get anybody to order? And I've seen mediums say, who do you want to hear from? And they can't get them. And then they've got egg on their face. It looks silly. It looks silly. So I would recommend you never do that. And here's why it doesn't work. Another reason. So so this is my radio analogy. I actually printed this one out rather than having to draw it. So what we have here on the side here is the spirit world. That's increasing vibration. So if you like, you've got like a radio, you've got long wave, medium wave, short wave. Basically the beginner over here, the beginner can't reach as far into the spirit world as an intermediate, as an advanced. So the advanced medium, if you like, can cover most of the wavelengths, the frequencies of spirit. The beginner cannot. The intermediate, somewhere in between. But even the most advanced medium, I don't believe, can cover every single person in the spirit world. So there are always going to be people who are, if you like, at the edge of your ability to connect. Just like tuning in a radio, we cover a band. There's going to be people who are at the edges that are not a good fit for us. So important to recognize that. So that's one of the reasons you shouldn't say you can anyway. If you're not highly experienced, you're going to struggle. Now I've experimented with this. In 20 sittings for people, I've done this. I've said, who do you want to hear from, and see if I can get them for you. And maybe I'm 80-90% accurate. And now that's not bad, you know, that's pretty reasonable. But remember that spirit have to be available as well. They've got to want to communicate. So we've got that aspect. Now, I do have a video on why has your loved one not come through, and I go through all these factors then. And it's important to recognize that we can't just call on them to order. You know, if the person really wants to hear from them, they're thinking of them, they're inviting them to blend close, and you ask them to blend as well, and they're available, and you're a good fit, it may work. It should work, hopefully. But you've got to be that good fit, that good vibrational match, like I was saying, the radio analogy. If you're not a good fit for them, it may not work. But remember that it doesn't work every time, at least not in my experience. And I've watched, as I say, many mediums who say they can do this, and I've seen them not be able to do it. So I don't believe they can. So there you are. And do I think you should do it? No. If I'm doing a demonstration, I never ask for anybody specific, for anybody in the audience. I open to whoever spirit want to bring. That's what I do. And I think that's the right way of doing it. Spirit know who needs to contact. Spirit know who needs to communicate. Leave it in the hands of spirit and let them do their work. If it's a sitting and someone's desperate to hear from a certain loved one in spirit, you'll feel that. And in that scenario, if I'm not getting them, I'll say, I can feel there's somebody you want. Who is it? It's my mum. Okay, well, I'll see if I can get your mum, but we'll see how it goes. And sometimes we need to get somebody else first to, if you like, pave the way for mum to come in, because if mum came in first, the emotional content could be so strong it can collapse the reading. So sometimes somebody else has to come first as an enabling communicator to enable it to happen. So there you go. That's the answer. Hopefully that helps. So Dana, thank you very much for your donation. That really is appreciated. So your question, why do some mediums say they can only bring in a baby or child with an adult? Is that a more ethical approach? But there is no time over there. So really what you're talking about here is, how do we connect to a young baby? Say a young baby or a young child who wouldn't be able to communicate, say, I don't know, baby between birth and between the age of maybe 2 or 3. How do we link with them? Well, you can link with them, but the problem is there's not going to be a huge amount of evidence that the child's mind would necessarily remember or be able to give if their mind was exactly the same in spirit as it is here. But remember, they're freed from the developmental limitation of the mind. So what happens then is they can communicate with you. So you don't need to have an adult with them. You know, you can link with a baby or a young child and bring relevant information through that makes sense without needing to say, oh, but what tends to happen is a lot of people who lose a loved one expect their loved one to be in the spirit world at that age. So if they've lost a baby, they expect it still to be a baby. Some expect it to grow up at a certain age and to come through at a certain age. Now, I have a whole series on children and spirit that I recommend which you look at. And in the first one, I talk about the age that the children come through. And they come through to meet the needs of the parent. That's what they do. They actually not technically at that age. So say you lose a baby and 5 years later you expect the baby to be 5. Then spirit will show themselves to the medium as a 5-year-old, even if they hadn't passed at a 5-year-old. Or they'll show themselves at the age of passing if the medium's asking for that. And they'll show themselves at the age of just past at birth. So it can be either, but a 5 is coming through to meet the needs of mum here. That's the point. So, but technically, the child is a mind. The child is freed of the earth years. So the child can advance in spirit much quicker than earthly years. Absolutely. So it's important to recognize. So for me, there isn't linear time in the spirit world, but what there is sequential development, sequential time. So think something has to happen to create something. So our experience builds linearly. That's what I'm trying to say. But we are not constrained by the earthly period of development. That's important to recognize. So I hopefully that will make sense to you. But generally, what a lot of mediums teach is, got a baby, who's the baby with? The parent will want to know who's the baby with. And often, say, grandma comes through, which is the child's grandma, or say it's your mum has come for the reading, mum's in the spirit world, and grandma to the baby, and the child is with grandma. So the mum's mum starts coming through, and then they'll say, show you the baby, I've got the baby. No need to worry, I've got the baby. Which will make mum feel really happy, because that's what she wants to know. What's happening to my baby? So it's, if you like, it helps them here. But do I teach that you have to do that? No. If someone comes to me and they've lost a baby, and that baby can communicate and give information that is understood, I don't need in a sitting to give somebody else. On platform, generally, it's very often where you're showing it with somebody else, generally, because it's hard to prove survival from the mind of a baby that may have just passed. So that's important to recognize as well. So hopefully, Dana, that helps answer your question. I do hope so anyway. So Charlene, thank you very much for your super chat donation. That really is much appreciated. So let's come to your question. If you witness a medium on platform consistently giving messages that have no evidence stroke relevance to sitters, are they tuning in? What is happening? What are their guides doing? So if they're given no evidence and the messages don't make sense, they're not actually doing the job of a medium. Now, the guides would probably be as frustrated as you are watching, to be brutally honest, because some people, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I'm going to say it anyway, because I keep it down to earth. Some people fake it. It's true. Some people fake it. I went to see a theatre medium. I was horrified. Spirit was never there. It was all faked. Dreadful. Absolutely shocking. I just felt so bad that I almost want to barge them out of the way, get on that stage and do some real mediumship to help that audience who really needed mediumship. But most people in the audience didn't realize it was faked, which is ever so sad as well. Because if you work in generics and you work in just messages that would fit anybody and there's no real evidence from spirit, then a real medium will recognize that actually there's no evidence here, and what you're giving, you'll always find someone who can take it. And what you're doing is you're giving a scenario, then you're just milking the scenario. Like, I've got a man who passed on a motorbike. Someone would understand that, yes, you do. And he was young, yes. Oh, and it caused such problems in the family's lives, and all his friends were so upset, and there was a lot of people at the funeral. All of these are givens for anyone who passed at that age. It sounds like evidence, but it's not. Because I guarantee you, if you put all of that forward to anybody who lost a young man passing in a motorcycle accident of that age, it fits. It fits. So it's terrible to say, but that people do that. They do that. So, and some people knowingly work pretending to be a medium and get away with it. So they could be pretending. That's number one. Number two, they could just be a lousy medium who hasn't been trained to do it, who doesn't know how to do it, who's not very good at doing it, who's seen mediums do things and they're trying to do it, but they don't really know what they're doing. Poor training, poor understanding. It happens. I see it a lot. And then you have people who, sometimes it doesn't work. Recognize it doesn't work because every medium gets on platform and some links don't fit, are not working. The person who it's for is just not going to take it, not putting their hand up. They'll come see you afterwards and say, oh, I could take it. Or you'd already given me a link and I wasn't going to take a second one. There'll be various reasons why. But in that moment, it looks to the audience like it's not working. So we've got to understand that they may be genuinely linking, bringing evidence, bringing messages, but the right person's not taking it for whatever reason. They may be the designated driver. I'm only here to drive my family here. I don't want a message. I don't want to hear from anyone in the spirit world. No. So no matter what you give, they wouldn't take it. And what do the guides do? For me, guides oversee the process. So it doesn't come through the guide. The guides aren't doing it wrong. If you don't work well, the guides can't really do a lot about it. They can help you if you ask for their help, but if you don't, they won't. So the guys will be sitting there saying that they're not doing it very well today. They're not actually working with spirit today. It's not going well. So yeah, it's challenging. And in some places you see this a lot. But the saddest part for me is when I know people are faking it, and it really, that bothers me immensely because I don't think people should do that. Some people are doing it unwittingly, unknowingly, not realizing that they don't actually know how to connect to spirit, not realizing that psychic is not the same as mediumship, because some people just work poorly psychically. So I hope that kind of gives you a clue to some of the things that could be happening. But yeah, if you're consistently giving messages that are not understood and giving evidence that is not understood, then technically your mediumship is not working. And there's work to be done. There's work to be done. If I ever had a demonstration where that happened, I'd be going home, having a good sit down with spirit and say, look, what happened? Why? If my mediumship doesn't work relatively well, fairly well, I want to know why. I'm not comfortable with that. I need to know that. What can I do to make it better next time? And spirit will help us if we ask them for their insights. And the communicators who come to you, you can always invite them back if they want to try and help you understand why it was challenging or why it didn't work. So we can seek feedback from spirit as well as feedback from people in this world as well. Hopefully that helps. But good question. I like that. Okay, let's see what question is next. Omar, have you heard of inner sourcing? It is said if we talk to our intuition throughout the day, the development skyrockets. I've never heard of it. It doesn't make sense to me, I'm afraid, because it's not logical. Your intuition is not... it's not something separate from you with a mind of its own. All your intuition is the vehicle through which you receive impressions from spirit or psychically in this world. So I can't talk to my intuition. I can open my intuition up to receive impressions. That's all I can do. I can tune into an energy of a person. I can tune into the energy of a room. I can tune into the energy of an object, psychometry. I can use my intuition when I'm doing mediumship. But it's just a gateway through which the information flows. I can't talk to it. It wouldn't make sense to me. So I don't know where these ideas come from, but for me, I cannot see within my framework and understanding of mediumship any logic to it. So sorry about that. Louise, how do you hold the power? Absolutely good one, isn't it? How do you hold? Well, technically, we need to understand that power is fuel for mediumship. Power is what sustains mediumship over time. So no power, no mediumship. If you haven't built any power at all, your mediumship will always be ever on the ragged edge. It will always be ever struggling to work. So you need to learn to build power. You do that through sitting in the power. You also do it through working mediumistically. That helps to build power as well. If you don't really know what power is, I have a video on the channel, Mediumship Class 2, What is Power? I also have the series on why you should sit in the power, which I go through why you need to do it and why you need power, because power is what will enable you to stay connected to spirit. So it's vital you can do that. Now, some people use the word power as meaning the connection with spirit. Oh, that medium's really in his power. It means you're well connected. You're blended with spirit. It's working well. So technically you don't hold the power, you actually hold the connection. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I'm a long way around, I know. But so really, I wouldn't say how do you hold the power, because you can't. Power just diminishes. You know, power. Let me try and show you. I start a demonstration on this side, this side. It's back to front for me. Here, power. in the camera, it's on the wrong side. It gets very confusing. So power, that's my power here, this here, and this is time running along the bottom. And my power basically just dwindles with time. When I'm working on platform, doing a demonstration of mediumship, I've only got a finite amount of power. My power will maybe last an hour and a half, and then it'll just tail down. And then it gets hard to work because there's no power. It just stops working basically, and it becomes challenging, and you've got to stop. If you don't stop, then you're in trouble. Now, yeah, I could tell a few jokes and maybe get a bit more audience interaction and say some connecting words between links and boost the power a little bit. And at the last link, generally in a demonstration, when everyone knows it's the last link, they all switch off. They all think about TV tonight, or think about getting some money out, or think about the cat, the dog, whatever, the family at home. And the power just plummets even more, because you get power from your own power plus the power of the audience. If the audience remove their power, boom, and you're draining yours down next to nothing anyway, you got no power. So how do you hold power? Build it. Absolutely. Build it is the key. You'll have the most to work with. Secondly, then what we get then is what I call the conservation of energy. So a beginner medium burns power very, very, very quickly. If you've ever wondered why, when you first start doing mediumship, you feel things so strongly, you see things within your mind very clearly, and as you get on with development, it seems to become a bit more vague, and that's because it's conservation of energy, conservation of power. What's happening is spirit have to really show you it very strongly in the early days. And then once you've learned to work with it, they can turn the dial down, turn the volume down. And what happens then is that you don't need it as strongly, but you think, oh, my clairsentience is not as strong. My clairvoyance is not as strong. I don't get the images or feelings anywhere near as strong. But they still get across to you. The information is still conveyed whilst minimizing the amount of power it took to get there. So same amount of power here on the right-hand side. The blue one is the experienced medium who make it last a long time. The beginner in red loses power very rapidly. Someone who's just a bit more experienced, it's the orange one, it comes down, but still quite rapidly. They can only work for maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But the experienced medium who's built a lot of power can work for an hour and a half. So it's the rate you burn it at, but the rate you burn at it is dependent on where you are in your development. So the more you develop, then the longer the power lasts. So by developing and working with mediumship, you will naturally go longer. You'll hold the connection, go longer with your power. Then when we're working with mediumship to hold the actual connection itself, then you've got to do certain things. Keep talking. What you should do is always keep talking, use filler words if needed, repeat yourself if needed, because talking helps keep the energy up. Moving and getting excited and being energized and empowered helps you stay in the connection and not drop. So we want to do all those things. Learning to multitask, because we're holding a link with spirit and we're delivering evidence to a sitter or an audience. And what happens is a lot of people make the link, drop the link, give the information. Make the link, drop the link, give the information. But when we hold them both together, it keeps the connection stronger and makes it easier to work. You're holding the connection. That's what you want to learn to do. So you've got to learn to do that multitasking. And it's not easy to begin with, but with time and experience, you learn to do it. So that will help you also. So hopefully you have some clues there. But it's a good question. How do you hold the connection? How do you make your power run for longer? It's a good question. I like it. Okay, next question. Aline. Would you say having a glass of wine the night before a reading would impede your connection? No, I wouldn't. Have I done it? Yes. Does it make a difference? No. Having a glass of wine immediately before demonstrating will affect your mediumship. I was doing a course. I was on a course with Mavis Patilla quite some years ago. And it was in a hotel and we were having dinner, and certain people had been chosen to demonstrate after the meal that evening. And because it's a hotel dinner, you get like a lovely 3-course meal. And on our table, we all had a couple of bottles of wine and we were chucking the wine back and enjoying ourselves and having fun. Mavis came and tapped me on the shoulder and said, one of the people working tonight is not working and you're up. And I'm like, I can't, Mavis, I'm on my second glass of wine. And she says, well, tonight you get to understand what difference wine and alcohol makes to your mediumship. And so it's great. It's good. It's a good test, because I wouldn't normally mix my spirits. I wouldn't normally work under the influence. But what I found was you got more confidence. It made you more overconfident. However, it didn't necessarily help your mediumship. So I would advise you not to do it. Some mediums of old would have a little drink, a little stiffener before they worked and could still work. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend mixing our spirits. That's what I suggest. So, but a glass of wine the night before? Nah, it's too far away. It shouldn't make a difference. A glass of wine at lunchtime on the day. I've done that as well, and that doesn't really make a difference as well, provided it's not much. If you're inebriated or you're under the influence, or it's put you in a slightly altered state from the alcohol, yes, it will affect it. But say I had a small glass of wine at lunchtime and I'm working in the evening at 7 o'clock. By the time we get to 7 o'clock in the evening, that's worn off. So it doesn't actually have an effect on my brain, doesn't have an effect on my state of awareness, really. It's been and gone. The effects have been and gone. The alcohol's worked through my system. It's been metabolized. So it shouldn't really affect it. But if you think it will affect it, then what happens then is your thought process, your idea that it will affect it can make it affect it. Man is a very powerful tool. So I would say you'd be all right doing that. And yeah, I'm not averse to at weekends. I normally have a glass of wine on most nights, and I often work on a Sunday. It doesn't affect it. Doesn't affect it. Well, it doesn't affect me. It may affect you, but it doesn't affect me. But there's only one way to try it out and see. Okay, next question. I've heard a medium say he doesn't do trance mediumship because he has seen evil spirits around trance mediums. He would never allow a spirit to take him over. Any thoughts? Now that question, I've got to be careful now because I can feel my blood pressure rising. I really can. I work as a trance medium. Have been doing trance development for 13, 14 years now. I work as a trance medium and it's complete rubbish. Try to think of a polite way of saying it, but it's just complete bullshit, to be frank. And, you know, I haven't seen an evil spirit in this world ever. I've been working as a medium now for 19 years. I've been in development myself for 21 years. I've not seen an evil spirit. I'm sorry. There are no evil spirits floating around anybody here. But if you have a mindset that you're always forever looking for evil spirits, I'll tell you what will happen. Things will happen. And you'll go, oh, that must be an evil spirit. Oh, this room's cold. There's an evil spirit here. No, there's no evil spirits. You know, it doesn't make sense. I believe that we're all naturally protected. That there's a natural law that anyone who comes to work with us from the spirit world has to come with positive intent. So none of us can have an evil spirit come to do anything bad to us. So yeah, and many people have come to me and said, I've got an evil spirit with me, and they haven't. Or many people have told me there's an evil spirit in their house, and there isn't. I went round to someone's house and they said there's an evil spirit in the house. And I went round there, and in their bedroom was an entire section of video nasties, like, I don't know, you know, zombie movies and the Evil Dead, that kind of thing. And all these books about dictators, tyrants, murderers, the lot. And it's like, there is no spirit here, but all this stuff creates an energy. And all that, that was the energy that was present, was the energy attached to the interest in the macabre, in things that are not really helpful. I said simply, you'd be better off putting that in another room rather than keep it in your bedroom, because, yeah. But there is no evil spirit. That's the point. There is no evil spirit. All the times I've been to people's houses about there is an evil spirit there, it's usually one of their loved ones. That's who it is. So, no, I don't believe in evil spirits, I'm afraid. And with trance, what we're doing is we're forming a relationship with our guides and helpers. You know, other spirits can't suddenly jump in and control me. Let me show you a diagram. So this is the spirit realm here. And along the bottom here is different things. With evidential mediumship, the medium does the work. The mediumship has to go all the way to spirit practically and blend with the communicator. When we're doing healing and inspirational work, we meet spirit guides halfway. When we're doing trance, the spirit guide does most of the work and draws close to the earth and blends with the medium. All the medium does is move themselves into a state that will enable spirit to come forward and blend with them. To learn to do this with spirit, it takes years, and it takes a lot of effort on their side to be able to blend and come close. And they never control us. It's cooperation. We allow it. My guides always say it's conscious cooperation of souls. You're doing it consciously, you're cooperating with us, and we're cooperating with you. We never, ever control you. At any point, I could just stop it. At any point. There's no control that spirit take away from me as the medium. So it's important to recognize that. So spirit do not take us over. Not at all. If anything happens in the room, I could come back in an instant if I wanted to. So it's important to recognize spirit do not take us over. And a spirit that is not one of your guides cannot come forward, blend with you and control you. It's control is not the right word. Blend with you and speak through you. Because that's what they're doing. They're blending with our mind and speaking through us. And to a certain degree, they can animate us a little bit as well. But that's it. They are not controlling me. They cannot make me do anything. They cannot stand me up and walk me out the room and go and hit somebody or write something. It's not going to happen. It's not that. That's not how it works. And if they did, I'd be like, whoa, not having this. And so it wouldn't happen anyway. But there are no evil spirits. It's just completely crazy. Crazy. So there you go. So should you develop trance? Absolutely. Is trance helpful? Absolutely. I love trance. So do not listen to crazy mediums who say strange things like that, because, you know, think about the great mediums of old. The great mediums of old, in fact, all of them were trance mediums, from Emma Hardinge Britten, from Andrew Jackson Davis. They were all trance mediums. When we look at more recent mediums like Estelle Roberts, mediums like Maurice Barbanel, mediums like Gordon Higginson, they were mediums like Harry Edwards. Harry Edwards was a trance medium as well as a great healer. They're all trance mediums. All the finest mediums I know also do trance. Do you think they would do it if there's anything evil, if anything could harm them? Of course not. It's crazy. It is crazy. So there you go. I'll shut up now. So if you are enjoying it, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, then yeah, subscribe to the channel and you can hear my down-to-earth teachings on mediumship without that fluff. Okay, next question. I can see the next question kind of follows on. Cynthia, I had a healthcare worker for more than 10 years. She suddenly won't see me because I associate with Satan. How do you handle prejudices? You know, do you associate with Satan doing this work? Of course not. It's rubbish. You know, work is divinely inspired. Absolutely. And, you know, it's different religions with religious views who think that this is not right, or it's associating with the devil, or it's basically other people's religious views, other people's religious prejudices. Absolutely. How do you handle that? Simply, you can just say, that's your belief and I have my beliefs, and, you know, try and do it with as much patience, tolerance and understanding as you can. But equally be clear that, you know, this is your belief, and I don't have people running down my beliefs because I don't run their beliefs down. Why should we? So we have to be careful. If people want to attack us, it's not fair. So I would say, I don't attack you for your beliefs. please respect mine too. So if we can get some degree of respect in place, that helps. But ultimately, you cannot change how they think. You cannot change how they behave. So if the behavior becomes to a point whereby it's difficult for you to deal with it, you've got to distance yourself. You've got to get a different healthcare worker if you can. You've got to find somebody else who's more accepting of it. You know, so it's hard. It's hard. There's no simple, really easy answer because, and we have this within the family as well, quite commonly. It's hard. It's hard within the family because it's hard to move away from your family. We've just got to find a way of finding a balance where people keep their opinions to themselves and respect each other and care for each other and come from that point of compassion. I hope that's what we want. Axis, thank you for answering my question. So helpful. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. Hi, Laurie. Glad you could join us. Okay. Google me. A grieving mother initially appeared okay, but as reading progressed, closed down and negative energy manifested, overwhelming the medium who struggled to focus on bringing positive light more. Mum took some evidence, but not son. Probably ended his own life. Do evil spirits coming? Anything medium could do to remove this darkness? Should reading have been terminated? Maybe mum was drugged. Now, the problem is when scenarios like this develop and we think a negative energy manifests, it's not. What it is it's just energy and our mind thinks it is, but it's not. So, you know, when you're doing a reading, for example, a spirit communicator could come forward from the spirit world who wasn't nice. I've had people who've committed all sorts of acts from low-level crime through to murder come through me as a medium. They're not bad, they're not evil, they're just, it's just their evidence about their life. You know, somebody in this world, you may not like their energy that much. And when they come through from the spirit world, as I'm working with them, I think this is not my cup of tea, but I will still work with them because I'm here to work with everybody from spirit. Some mediums would say, oh, it was a dark light that came through. No, it's just a person. And the person may be showing you aspects of their life here. But no, so again, I've not ever had that experience of negative energy manifesting. No. So I cannot understand it. It's hard. But what I have seen many, many times with people is people saying it's happening. And when we look carefully at it, it's not. It's not. You know, I've been in seances where people have, you know, allegedly been overtaken by evil spirits, and it's not. And I just say to spirit, can you do something about this? And can we just send some healing to them to stop this? And it stops. And it's nothing to do with an evil person who has to be removed. It's just, you know, it could be created by the person's own mind, the person's beliefs. It can be created by anything. It just healing is, all that's needed is healing to resolve it. So healing is positive, yeah. But, you know, if the medium is not happy, then the medium struggles to work. And if the medium's not happy, what happens is it all collapses. You know, and was mum under the influence of drugs? I don't know. Yeah, if people are under the influence of drugs, it can affect the energy in the room. What's more likely than happened is the energy in the room brought by the person is what affects us more than anything from spirit. I always find the energy of the person sitting in front of me. I have given a reading to a couple of people who really shouldn't have had readings because let's just say their mental health wasn't secure, wasn't good, and that affects my energy. I'm looking around the room thinking, there's a knife block there. I wish that wasn't there. And where's the door? Who's closest to the door? If anything happens here, how do I get out? And I'm thinking about my own safety because I can see that this person is completely detached from reality. This person is seriously unwell mentally, and this person is not really in the right place for a reading. But hey, that's what happens. But this is one of the reasons you have to protect yourself from the people here as opposed to the spirit world. Hopefully that all makes sense. So that's a really hard one to kind of give a lot of insights into, I'm afraid. So hopefully that may help in some way. It may not, I don't know. Okay, so if you are enjoying it, again, don't forget to like, subscribe. And if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to leave me a comment. If you've got a question you would like to get answered sooner, you can always click on the super chat and make a donation if you wish. Or And if you want to support my work, you can donate through Super Chat. You can also donate through PayPal. There's a PayPal me link pinned to the very top of the chat box if you're interested. If you want to buy me a coffee, say thank you, you're more than welcome. Okay, next question. Patsy, how can I find people to practice on as our local spiritualist church is still closed with no plans on reopening and there's no circles in the area either? So basically, if you don't have anywhere local where you can go, your only other option is to do it online. You can go to courses, you could go to workshops and get practice in that environment. You know, I know the Art of Finley College is reopened. I know that this course has taken place in the UK at the Barbnell Centre. I know there's courses in a lot of other countries as well. So you can go to a course to get experience. You can ask around. The more you ask around, sometimes you find that there are some circles, but not necessarily widely advertised. But if you can't find anywhere, then your only other option is to do it online. And I know that SNUI online is very, very reasonably priced, and they have a lot of circles, classes as well, opportunities. And you know, you can go on a lot of Facebook groups like Evidential Mediumship, and you can a lot of people advertise free classes there as well, and also sort out doing exchange readings with each other. That's another good thing you can do, exchange readings. So that's an opportunity as well that you can get practice as well. Set up exchange readings with other people and do it over Zoom or Skype or Messenger or any other platform of your choice. Zoom is the most common one, absolutely. So yeah, you can do that as well. But other than traveling further afield, it's really having to go online. Hopefully that makes sense. Louise, I've only become aware of souls living in the world of spirit. I want to develop a relationship with them. What would you suggest? Now, I'm not really sure what you mean by that question. So what I will ask is if you can put an additional question in there. I'm not sure what you mean about developing a relationship with souls in the world, in the spirit world, because there are some people who tell you that they have developed a relationship with spirit. They've married spirit or they had sex with spirit, which is all complete and utter rot, all complete and utter nonsense. So hopefully that's not what you mean. I'm hoping. But we'll see. If you can put a question, put your clarification for me in the chat box. Hopefully we'll figure out what we're doing. I'm hoping it's not that, but there you go. If you mean you'd like to be able to work with spirit as a medium, that would be more helpful. Okay, Alina Michael, how do you work with symbols? How do you ask spirit to just give it to you as plainly as possible? It can be overwhelming amount of symbols, and you would have to learn to get all the evidence correctly. So symbols are a shortcut of getting information from the mind of spirit to the mind of the medium. That's what a symbol is. It's a shortcut for getting that information across quickly. If you don't know what the symbol means, then basically it's going to be hard. It's no longer a shortcut. It means that we can't convey that information to the medium. It's not going to happen. It gets challenging. So in that scenario, we would want spirit to give it us as simply as possible. Absolutely. But what you can do is develop a symbol library. You can set certain meanings for symbols. So when you get a certain symbol, it has that meaning. Or a symbol may become in your work and you know what it means instantly. So then you add that to your library. Okay, this is what it means. But I recommend setting up a symbol library and communicating it with your guides so that when mediumship takes place, this is your symbol for that. And spirit will use it. So spirit can show me something and I'll know what it means quickly. So say I get a date and I see a birthday cake, I know it's their birthday. If I get a date and I see a wreath, I know it's a date of passing. So the symbol, if you like, helps take my information one way or the other. So we can do that. I often get animals as well. I might see a mouse and this lady was as quiet as a mouse. I often see a bull in a china shop and this person just went through life creating chaos. And you know, so we can use it in a way to help with personalities. We can do all sorts. You know, you can get the figurative olive leaf. They're showing an olive leaf. It's they're wanting to bring peace and resolve of conflict. So there's all sorts of things you can do, you can set up. And I recommend you do that, because if you don't know what the symbols mean, it's going to be hard. It really is. So hopefully that helps you. But definitely in my early days, I didn't like symbols because I couldn't interpret them. So I thought, give it me the way it is. Give it to me as it comes. And they did that for a long time. Then I learned that actually symbols can really help me and can convey a lot of information very quickly. Ah, okay. So if I get shown a piece of coal, then the person was a miner. Right, okay, that's easy. So, or it might have been a coalman, might have had a coal sag. So you might have to be a little bit careful, but you can set your symbol up and it has a meaning and you can get there. Absolutely. That's important. Okay, next question, Madeleif. I have a question about reincarnation. I have a few people in spirit, they died many years ago. Can I see them again when I die? Because people reincarnate. So problem is, people talk about reincarnation as if it's a simple loop, this simple cycle of let's see if I can show you in a little diagram. So this in green here, this person here lives a life, dies, reincarnated as this person, dies, reincarnated as this person. And it's just the same soul. And, you know, if they get to that point of reincarnation, you'd never connect them at all from the spirit world. Whereas the reality, for me, is different to that. The reality is that we have like an oversoul. For me, the view I see is called the fragmented soul theory, or the oversoul theory. This here altogether is the oversoul. Within this are individual lives, individual earthly lives, or individual lives wherever. And say this person in yellow, in orange here, I don't know if you can see that. Say, no, I can see orange and red don't work well, but never mind. So that one in orange is you. But this one in red is basically another part of the oversoul having another experience. You always exist. You will always forever exist. So what's happening is the soul is fragmenting. So the point being, if we have that as our understanding of the group soul theory, the fragmented soul theory, then you, me, all of us, we exist. We have our earthly life here. We continue on the spirit world and we always exist. If you like, it's some other aspect of the greater soul that would have an incarnation. So it's not reincarnation, because we are not reincarnating. It's like an aspect of the soul that breaks off to have another life. And multiple aspects could be going in different directions at any one time as well from the oversoul. And if you like, the knowledge of the oversoul belongs to us as well. We can access that, we can gain that because we're a part of it. But we cannot short circuit our development. Our own development is our own. So if you lose somebody in spirit and they go to spirit, you will always be able to link, connect and contact them. This scenario here in green, for me, it's just not reality. I've actually given readings to Buddhists and Hindus who believe in that constant cycle of reincarnation. And I'm able to link with their loved ones in spirit. So you've got to ask yourself, if they've reincarnated, how can I still link with them? The only explanation you could really give is that an aspect of them still remains in spirit, or that the aspect of the soul that they are remains in spirit, that they continue as that consciousness of them. The identity, the personality cannot be destroyed, always exists, always continues, always forever learning. That's what happens. So you will absolutely see them again when you pass. So that's important to recognize. We are never trapped from seeing our loved ones. So, and some people say, oh, you're not able to contact them in the spirit world because that means they've reincarnated, and that's not true. Generally, there are a whole raft of reasons why. Check out my video, why has my loved one not come through? But ultimately, the point is that they can come through. They're still available to come through. They're not moved anywhere, so they can't. They still exist. They're still connected through bonds of love, and they will always want to reconnect with you just as much as you want to reconnect with them. So the good news is you cannot be kept separate from them. No need to worry about it. But I went a long way around explaining that. But I hope you kind of understand that the idea of you on a constant hamster wheel of reincarnation, to me, it just doesn't make sense. It's much more complex than that. The journey of the soul is much more sophisticated than that. So once you've been created as a unique identity, a unique individual, you will continue in that way. That's important to understand. And yes, I love your perspective on mediumship. I'm glad. That's great. Google me. Thanks for your ideas. I'll pass them on to my medium friend. Julia, yeah, great. So Louise, you've clarified for me. Thank you. So you want to recommunicate with loved ones and be aware of their presence. And the thing is, if it's your own loved ones, it becomes challenging. I have a video on that as well. Can a medium link with their own in spirit? And it got a lot of questions, got a lot of people quite excited. And basically what I say in the video, I'll say now the same thing. It's harder for a medium to contact their own in spirit for a variety of reasons. It's not impossible, but if you like, there's a pressure relief valve that stops us from doing it. Because if I could connect with my own loved ones, why would I connect to anybody else's as a medium? Why would I want to connect to somebody else's loved ones if I could connect to my own all the time? You know, selfish, isn't it? You know, I would love to connect with my own loved ones, but I can't. In the same way, I can become aware of them. I can be aware of their presence. I can feel them around me, but I can't have the same flow of communication like I can. And the main reason for that is my own unconscious and conscious needs and desires get in the way. I know my own loved ones and how they think. My own imagination and mind can mold communication into anything I want it to be. I can never truly say it's independent of my own knowledge, my own beliefs, my own desires, my own wants. But when I work for somebody else and I know nothing about their loved one, and I work for somebody else and I know nothing about them, and I make a connection and bring through their loved ones, bring the relationship they had with their loved ones, bring forward information that only they would know. Yes, that is the kind of communication we can do for other people, but not for ourselves, because we know too much about our own loved ones. So there's a saying that we can't link for our own the way we can link for other people. And the reason being is it's designed that way so that mediumship is used in service to others rather than selfishly in service to ourselves. So if you want to link to your loved ones, yes, you can develop, and yes, you can become more aware of them and you can feel their presence. But understand you'll never probably reach a point with it where you can have a full-blown conversation with them in your head, a full-blown conversation, because mediumship isn't talking anyway. It's feelings, it's impressions, it's images, it's sometimes a bit of a knowing. But I cannot have that communication with my own loved ones the way I can with other people's. So check out the video why you can't connect with your own loved ones, and that will give you clues to that. So, but you can develop, but how do we then become aware of our loved ones in spirit and aware of their presence? Quite simply, you've got to go the route of development. You've got to do mediumistic development. You've got to develop yourself as a medium. You've got to build power. You've got to develop your psychic senses. But what I would say is develop to help other people. And that what you'll get in return is being able to feel your own loved ones closer to you. So there is a benefit for it. But if you develop solely to connect to your own loved ones, it will slow down the process of development, because it's not always necessary to do that. So hopefully that all makes sense, I'm hoping. So Cindy, I can see you've made a donation, which is greatly appreciated. I can see you said that you can't get your question on the chat. All you need to do is just type it in the chat box at the bottom, and you should be able to type it in. I don't see any reason why you can't, provide you're logged into Google, and I will see it. Once your question's there, I will get onto it as the next question. So hopefully you can just type it in the box and it should come up. So Madeleine, thank you for the answer. You're very welcome. I hope it helps you. I sincerely hope it helps. Okay, Dana, thank you for your super chat donation. You lost your son in June. Is there anything you can recommend to get him to come into my dreams? So with getting our loved ones to come into dreams, we cannot make it happen. It either happens or it doesn't. And the problem is what we have is dreams where we meet our loved ones in spirit, which I would say are just our dream, and dreams where we meet our loved ones in spirit, which feel totally different, which have a strange feeling to them, which we can remember very clearly afterwards, and almost has an elated feeling in as well. And I believe in that latter one, you are meeting your loved ones in spirit, but in the first ones where they're just there and you forget the dreams, just like any other dreams, you're not necessarily, it's if you like, it's just created by your mind. So can we make it happen? Not easily, I'm afraid. I would love to tell you how to do this, but to be honest, I don't know that we can. All you can do is invite your loved ones to come close to you, however that may be. And then we really just got to see what happens. But those dreams are infrequent. I would say over 20-year period, I could probably count on one hand, maybe, the amount of dreams like that I've had. So they're not frequent, I would say. But when they happen, they're beautiful. But they're not frequent. So if people are telling you they're meeting their loved ones in their dreams all the time, I would very much doubt that, to be truthful. You know, it can happen, but it's not that common. So I hopefully that helps. So I can see, Cynthia, that you have asked your... So Cindy, I'm trying to find your question, Cindy, and I'm not seeing it. You should just be able to type it in the chat box. No need to put any money in or anything. Just type it in the chat box at the bottom of the chat, and it should appear. I greatly appreciate your super chats. Cynthia, I have spirits come to me the day before a reading. I've talked to my guides about stopping this, but it continues. Can you advise? Okay. So normally spirit do what we ask. So I don't want spirit to come to me. So spirit, don't come. Equally, don't open up. Don't open up to spirit coming in. And if they do, just say, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to interact with you now. You need to come back the day of the reading. That's what I'd recommend. Yeah, by all means, communicate that to your guides as well. But ultimately what it is this may or may not be true for you, but I want you to think about this. Is there a desire within you for it to happen at a subconscious level, even not consciously, subconsciously? Is there sometimes a fear that you may not get people? And because of that, then it's nice to know, oh, there was somebody came through early. Okay, that's good to know. So it's not easy, not easy. But generally, if we ask spirit not to do something, they generally don't do it, in my experience. If they do, then there's something else in the mix that might be causing it. But for me, if I don't want to hear from someone's loved ones until the day of the reading, I'll just send the thoughts, thank you for coming, but I'm not going to interact with you. Please come back on the day of the reading. And that should do it. That should do it. Because there's no real need for them to come through early. And what I find is they only come through early if I open to receiving them. Because spirit can't come to me when I'm off. I talk about the discipline of mediumship and the need to ground and be completely off versus on. When I'm sitting in the power, spirit don't communicate with me because I'm never looking for spirit communication. So any time I'm looking for spirit communication is when I'm doing it. It's like a dial. It's either 0 off or 1 on. I'm either not working with spirit or I'm working with spirit. I'm not watching telly and spirit bother me. I'm not having a shower and all of a sudden spirit are bothering me. Unless I'm thinking, I've got a reading today. I wonder who's going to come through. And then, because if you like, I'm thinking of it and I'm open up to it, it can happen. So I would say don't even open to it and it won't happen, hopefully. So there's another option. I hope some of that can help. Okay, NS, can you talk more to the frequency in which mediumship works? You had a diagram earlier you were showing. So basically the spirit world is at a higher frequency of vibration than this world. That's all you really need to know. And so as mediums, all we're doing is we're moving our minds to a higher frequency. And that's what we do when we connect to the spirit world. And if you like, what I was speaking about early on is this concept of the radio analogy, that each spirit has its own frequency vibration within the spirit world, and that an experienced medium can work across a wide range of frequencies, whereas an inexperienced medium will find it harder to push into spirit. So the diagram I had, that was it there. And this is the increase in frequency, increase in vibration up that side in the spirit world. If you like, the dotted line is the spirit, no, sorry, that line there is the spirit world. And I basically said, like, this could be long wave, medium wave, short wave, but the point is the beginner can't raise their frequency as high as an intermediate versus the advanced. That's the point I was trying to get at. So, but when we're doing mediumship, I'm not aware of what frequency I'm at. All I know is I've got to get excited, energized, and push my mind to the spirit world to become aware of the spirit world. That's all that I'm aware of doing. What frequency I reach, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to know that. All you know is that the more you develop, the more you can reach. That's the important thing to understand. But getting excited, getting energized, getting empowered will help you. Absolutely. So hopefully that will help you in some way. I hope. Okay, I can see, Cindy, you have asked your question. Let me get to your question. I passed on messages I was receiving privately to someone who posted on their brother's death anniversary. Was I wrong for doing so? So what I would say is, unless someone comes to you and asks you to give them a reading, you shouldn't do it for various reasons. Because first of all, the person may not want a reading. The person may not want to hear from their loved one at all, may not believe in any of this, may be frightened by it. Secondly, if you give spirit contact to people unannounced, it's some people consider it bad manners, but I consider it poor discipline, very poor discipline. Those people who are stood in the checkout at the supermarket trying to give a spirit link to the person next to them, or sat on a bus or a train trying to give spirit link to people around them, they've not asked for it, don't do it. I learned very quickly in my own development not to do it, because I was at work and quite a few people knew what I did, and we were down the pub one night and they were badgering me. What is this mediumship? Go on, show us your mediumship. Go on, just make one link. Go on, please show us. And they were badgering me. I gave in and I made one link. And it was someone there understood it completely, burst into tears and ran off and went home. And I was mortified. And I realized that they'd not asked for a contact from their loved one. They weren't in the right place to receive it. I spoilt their night. I ruined their night. That's my consequence. That's my responsibility. So I had to find them the next day and apologize. And it taught me straight away I would never make a reading, do a reading or make a link in front of people unless it's the right time, unless they're all there willingly for it and they know what's going to happen. You know, we can't play with this. It's not a game. So I learned myself the hard way. So, if someone contacted me and said, in fact, I've had this a lot. People ring me up, oh, they're a medium. Oh, I've got a message from you from such and such. And I'll say, okay, what was the evidence that you got? I'm sorry, that's not my loved one. No. And a lot of it can just be wishful thinking and, so in most instances, people actually contacting me to say they've got something for me. It's not right in most instances, which is interesting to note. But it's just not the done thing. And for the reputation of mediums, we don't want to be what we call leaky taps, giving messages here and doing that. So yeah, we've all done it at some stage, myself included, absolutely. But I would say it's not a good idea. You don't know if that person's open to it. You don't know how that person will take it. And you don't know if, like the lady I gave the link to, they're not in the right place for it. It causes them pain. It causes them suffering. You don't want that. So I always say, wait until people come and see you or ask you for it. And that's the right time to do it. Or a sitting or a demonstration. I would not do it outside of that. Check out my video on discipline in mediumship. I've got a video on discipline as well on the channel. I've got a series on protecting, grounding, opening up, closing down. And it's the closing down one. I talk about the discipline of you're either on working or you're not. And we don't do the leaky tap. We don't give information when it's not asked for. Okay. Paul, chart's getting tight, Martin. Well, what I realized was with some of these pictures that I've done them so many times now, drawing them out, that I might as well just have them already prepared and whip them out when I need to. Paul, energy is everything. It feels amazing, even heading at times. Healing at times. Sorry, yeah. If people don't ask for a contact, it certainly can freak them out. We have to be very careful with them. It's all about boundaries. And as I say, the thing is, when we first start, we're so excited. Wow, this works. This is amazing. I can do this thing. And we're so keen and so excited to use it. And we want to use it to help everybody. And it's the excitement of the early stages. And then we realize that actually we have to temper that a little bit. Because yes, it's exciting. And yes, you want to use it, but we've got to use it at the right time. So we've all been there. I doubt there's any medium who's not done it. So I'm not coming at a position from telling you not to do it holier than thou, because I've made the same mistakes myself. Absolutely. We've all been there. We just learn through experience that not to do it. Patsy, what's your thoughts on spirit boxes that paranormal teams use to connect to the spirits? Yeah, well, practical, down-to-earth teachings on mediumship and development. I don't get them personally, I'm afraid. I know lots of people who do. But when it comes to ITC, when it comes to using a recorder and then playing it back and seeing if there's spirit on it, any of it, and the spirit boxes, I've listened to loads of it, and it just, no, it doesn't feel right to me. I can't hear it. People are saying, oh, can you hear spirits saying that? And I'm like, no, it's just like noise. It's like white noise and bits of words and things coming in. So, yeah, I know some people love them, but do you know what? The communication is so basic through them. It's crazy. As a medium, we can link with spirit and receive really detailed, accurate communication that is profound. Whereas the kind of communication that comes through those mechanisms in general is so basic, is so limited, that I don't personally get excited about it. And I was going to say I don't see the point personally, but I know some do. I know if it's your bag, great, go with it. Wonderful. I guess it's just not my bag. It's not what I'm about. I don't do paranormal investigations, I'm afraid. That's not exciting for me. I've been invited to do lots. They usually I say to me, will you come and do this investigation or ghost hunt? And I'll say, what happens if I don't find any spirits? They're like, well, you got to make it up. And I was like, I don't make it up. Sorry. So I don't do it. I don't do it. I don't make up for anybody. No chance. This is my religion. This is, communication with spirit it's part of my religion of spiritualism. So yeah, don't do it, I'm afraid. So yeah, so spirit boxes, I've probably upset quite a few people. I'll probably get a few people unsubscribed for that one, but I've got to be honest. I've got to tell it like I see it, because if I don't, I'm not being honest to myself. I'm not being honest to you. But I do get that some people love that sort of thing. And if that's your bag, wonderful. Okay, love all around. Do our guides always stay with us, or do they come and go, or come in at different periods of our lives? Now, for me, I love guides and helpers. My next course I run in the future will be one on guides and helpers. But guides and helpers are spirit teachers. They're evolved spirit beings who walk with us this journey. And some can come and some can go. Just like any teacher in this life, you wouldn't want your nursery school teacher to be teaching you all the way through your education. Well, by the time you get to university, you'd hope to have moved on to someone who's much more specialist, much more knowledgeable than somebody at the kindergarten. So as we go through our lives, the levels we get to, the work we're doing, we'll have different guides and helpers who will move in to help at different times, to help with different things. But I believe we all have a guide, of at least one guide, who is there throughout the duration. But the main guide can change out. There's been many famous instances. Helen Duncan's main guide changed out halfway through her development. Many famous instances where mediums' main guides change. So yeah, absolutely, the main guide can change. They don't have to be there the entire time. And in another scenario, the guide said that basically the medium had moved to a point now where somebody else would be better for them to help them. You know, it's logical. If you're not a good fit for each other because one's evolving or moving differently, then it's better for somebody else to come along to work who is a better fit. And spirit, spirit are not going to be egotistical about this. No, they're mine. You can't have them. No, have a fight. Guys won't have a fight about who can be the main guide. They'll just get on with it. And we've got as many guides as we need to help us in our work. The more work you're doing for spirit, the more guides and helpers will work with you. Because if you're doing healing, you'll have healing helpers, healing guides. If you're doing trance, you'll have those who want to work with trance. Similarly, inspiration. If you're doing mental mediumship, you'll have guides who work with you for that. And there are people spirit side who work with the process. So anytime someone's doing healing or doing mental mediumship, there'll be teams in the spirit world who work with healing and mental mediumship who will help the process. Although they're not your guides as such, but they are spirit helpers who you will get the benefit from with your work. So I hope that all makes sense. Okay, next, where are we? Cindy, yes, so true. Wanting to help others with the best intentions. Absolutely. And, as I say, we've all done it. Absolutely. Paul, Martin, you're awesome. I'm going to buy you a shandy and a packet of salt and vinegar one day in the UK. Wonderful. I shall look forward to that. Maybe take the lemonade out though, eh? So love all around. Thank you. Makes sense. So Paul, Helen Duncan, did she channel spirit with alcohol to open up? Sadly, Helen Duncan, I've got to be careful what I say again, because the problem is that some of our great mediums of the past, people don't like you to ever say anything ill of them. And I get that. I understand that, because, they're not here to defend themselves. But it was quite common knowledge that some mediums would drink, and Helen Duncan was well known for drinking. I've got a tape of Gordon Higginson where he said that he was staying at someone's house, and Helen Duncan happened to be staying there as well, and she'd had half a bottle of whiskey and decided to have a seance. So yes, she did it. She would still do physical mediumship on alcohol. Now, did she do that deliberately to open up? I don't know. I've no idea. But did she work when she'd had a drink? Yes, I know that to be true. So yeah, do I recommend it? No, I don't, because it will affect it in some way. It can't but help not affect it in some way. And for me, it almost, if we drink and then try and do some form of mediumship, whatever it is, whether it's mental mediumship, trance, physical, we're not bringing the right intent to the sacred nature of the work. And the results we get may be affected. I know that Helen Duncan, some of her seances didn't work well. I'm not saying that's why, but I just know that what ultimately will happen is the energy we bring to our work, the intent we bring, is reflected in what takes place. So for me, my mediumship is sacred. I would not wish to affect it through alcohol, personally. Anyway, I'll move on. Controversial one, of course. Cindy, do you believe that any information we get is correct, like some people say, or if a sitter does not recognize it is clearly a bad connection to spirit? So you get some mediums who say, no matter what I get, it's right. Now, that's crazy, because every one of us gets it wrong, including me. I'm not perfect. Gordon used to say that a good medium is only 80% accurate. Now, that means you're going to get bits wrong. The nature of mediumship is trying to interpret what we're receiving and present it in a way that people understand. There's a degree of interpretation. Sometimes there's a degree of joining the dots. And we don't join it right. We can get it wrong. Everyone can get it wrong. Any medium who doesn't think they can get it wrong is working from a place of ego, and it's not going to help. It's not going to be good. So we've got to recognize we can get it wrong. If I give information it's not understood and it's not correct, I own it. I own it. I'm willing to accept that I get it wrong. But equally, I know that generally, when we look at the numbers, most of it is right. 80% of it is right, generally. But one link may not work for a variety of reasons. It could be the recipient is not there. It's a postman Pat. Somebody else needs to recognize it to pass it on. It could be that the person not putting their hand up doesn't want it. It could be you've got a couple of pieces of information wrong that throw it off. And if you'd said, who can take most of this? I might have 1 or 2 bits wrong. Somebody would come forward for it. You may have done something wrong with it to the extent that it can't be taken anymore. You've got the age wrong. They showed themselves at an age that wasn't their passing age, because you don't ask spirit to bring their passing age. And you start presenting them as a young man when they passed in their 70s. And it'll never be taken because you're presenting the wrong age. So there's a whole raft of reasons why what we're giving may be correct but not taken, but equally may be incorrect and not taken. So anyone who says that the information is correct, but somebody here is not putting their hand up to it, for me it's egotistical. I don't like to see it. I hate to see the people who foist information on people and say, I know you can't take it, but take it home and you'll find out I'm right, and then come back and apologize to me and all the other stuff they say. And somebody else at the end of the service says, well, I could take all of it. If they'd only opened it up, I could take everything. I've seen it myself. I've seen mediums give something to somebody and I'll put my hand up and say, I can take all of this, and say, no, I'm not with you. And they'll give it to all the other person, and none of it's right. I'm sitting there thinking, I can take everything. This is my loved one. And you're refusing to work with me because you're always right and you know where you want to be. No. So whatever you do, do not develop too great an ego. Be willing to be wrong, be willing to move, be willing to do whatever needs to be done, because we're working for spirit, not the people in this world. Whether I look brilliant at the end of the night or not, it does not matter, as long as I've served spirit to the best of my ability. You know, sometimes I'll do a demonstration and something may not work, and someone will come to me at the end and say, oh, I could take all of that, and I'm really sorry, it's my first time here and I was just so scared I didn't want to put my hand up. I know I'm right, they know I'm right, maybe the church knows I'm right, but everybody watching thinks the medium couldn't get that one placed. He didn't know what he was doing. So yeah, it's not about me. It's not about my reputation or my ego. It's about the work for spirit. So hopefully that all makes sense. Okay, where are we? Patsy, thank you for that. I'm much on the same wavelength. Wonderful. Paul Lemonade cancelled. Yeah. Yeah, she could be over shy. Absolutely. Martha, getting spirit names. Is there a technique or how to get that as evidence would be great? I sometimes do get a name, but most of the times not. How long to sit in the power? So how long to sit in the power is a completely different question from the other question on names. How long to sit in the power, as long as it's comfortable for you. I do have a video, Sitting in the Power number 2 in the series, where I talk about how to do it. And I recommend people should build up, start short, build it up, do it for as long as it feels right to you. I only sit for 20 minutes myself. I don't need to sit longer. I know some people sit for an hour. It's personal choice. That's how long it's in the power. Okay, so getting names. Getting names is one of the hardest things to do. I know very few mediums who can get names all the time that are always taken, that are brilliant. How do you receive a name? You can hear it spoken within your head. It can surface within your mind through claircognizance, clair-knowing. We can see a name written out on a piece of paper in front of our mind, or just written out as words within our mind. Sometimes we get names given to us one letter at a time. M-A-R, is that Margaret? Is it Martha? Is it Martina? What is it? And it's just coming through slowly, and it's just like you're seeing the letters appear one at a time. You may be shown a person who's famous. You may be shown Marilyn Monroe to get the name of Marilyn. That's another technique. There are as many techniques to get names as there are people, really. There's no limit. You may be shown one of your own loved ones with that name. You may be shown a famous actor, actress. You may be shown a famous pop star. You know, you may have a symbol for the name as being seen that person. You know, you see, as I say, maybe Marilyn Monroe is your symbol for the name Marilyn. You see that, you know, Marilyn. Right, okay. So, but there are a number of ways of doing it. There really are. And ultimately, it takes time, it takes experience to get names. I don't get names that brilliantly, personally. You know, I'm not known as a medium who gives names all the time. But sometimes I'll get the name and they'll say, yeah, that's their name. I'll be working and then I'll get Alan, and it's like, okay, Alan. And often I get a name, I won't give it until it comes back again, but then it comes through really strong. Okay, I'm giving the name of Alan. Yes, that's his name. Wonderful. That's wonderful. He's communicated his name to me. But I know that my own mind's capable. If I look for a name, my own mind will throw one in. My subconscious mind, my imagination will go, Bill, Jeff. And it's like, oh. And so you don't want to go looking for them. You want them to come in without looking. That's more important. So don't look for names. By all means, try names and see how you get on. But don't give names at the very beginning of a link, because if the name's not right, you'll stop people taking the link. I would, even if I get a name, I will probably hold it back until I've found where I am and then bring the name in and see if it fits. Often the name isn't the person's name, it's someone close around. So yeah, names is challenging. If you really, really want to know a lot more about names, I do have a course called Getting Better Evidence. All my courses are £65, available on my website. But that one there, I go through every category of evidence. And I talk about the different mechanisms through which you can get them, how you can see it, how you can feel it, how you can hear it, how you can know it, how you can use symbols, how you can, like I was talking about with the, just how I've been talking about with using well-known people, using that effectively as your symbol, as you're communicating the name. I go through all of that in great detail to talk through all the different ways and means that I know of receiving the evidence, because it all works differently for each of us. So if I told you how I get names, it may not be how you get names. And it depends upon where you are in your development, because at different stages of development, different parts work more easily than others. So yeah. So if that really interests you to know more about the evidence, check out that course. There's so much in that course for evidence, a huge amount there. Definitely worth £65 of anyone's money, even though I'm biased. So hopefully that helps. Cindy, thank you so much. I agree with everything you say. I'm glad if you agree with me, that's wonderful. And if people don't agree with me, if people listen to what I'm saying and say, I don't agree with him, great, I don't mind. All I do is present my understanding, my knowledge. If it fits and works for you, that's wonderful. If it doesn't, feel free to let it go. But don't shoot the messenger. So, Paul, do you blend with spirit for inspired advice, not mediumship? Yeah, so for me, sometimes if I want some advice for myself, yeah, absolutely. I use inspiration. And inspiration is about receiving the information through inspirational speaking or inspirational writing. So you can send the thoughts to spirit and start writing and see what comes through the inspirational writing. Or if you have a little dictaphone, you can sit, you can tune in, you can blend and merge with spirit, invite your spirit guides to draw close. So remember, with inspiration, spirit are drawn close to you and you're meeting each other somewhere in the middle. It's a altered state, and set the recorder going and allow the inspiration to come forward. Of course, I can also work in trance, and spirit give me most of my own guidance advice in trance, which is for me is quite profound. So I prefer to do it in trance because I've developed as a trance medium, and they can communicate things very, very effectively in trance, far more effectively in trance than I can do in inspiration, because with inspiration, there's always some degree of your own mind, if you like, playing and part in the mix. Whereas in trance, we can quell that part of us to the lowest level possible. You can't ever totally eradicate it. It's just quelling it, pushing it down to the lowest level. The goal of trance is to get all of the medium out of the way and to make it all spirit. When you're doing inspiration, there's maybe 70, 80% spirit, 20, 30% the medium. So some of it is your own mind. But, thoughts come in. It's inspirational thoughts, inspirational ideas, inspirational words that build up. If you're interested in inspiration, I do have a video, one of my special topics, special topic 7, working with spirit inspiration, where I talk through how to do that, how to do inspirational speaking, inspirational writing, how you receive inspiration, how it starts slowly and how it builds up and grows. And yeah, £13 if you're interested in that. That is also part of the special module I have within my study program, which covers trance inspirational healing. If you're interested in those topics, by all means, feel free to check them out. So yeah, I recommend if we're going to work with spirit doing mediumship, where we're bringing messages for the people, we can still use our mediumistic faculties to blend with our own guides to receive advice for ourselves. If someone ever brings an opportunity to me, I will generally sit with it with spirit to see how it feels and get their input on it as well. We can't do everything in life. We just don't have the time. So we have to pick and choose. And sometimes my own logic may not be as powerful as allowing spirit's input. So yeah, absolutely. Cindy, thank you. I thought the same thing. Ego involved is saying everything we get is correct, but the sitter is wrong. Absolutely. I agree. Madeleine, yes, you're working for spirit, not your ego. Absolutely. Paul, when you sit for spirit, energy notices your focus and you can start a blend and develop. I would always say whatever you do with this work, your intent and the energy you bring to it always is a starting point. Always bring the right energy, always bring the right intent, and that will be a wonderful starting point. Madeleine, I like your teachings. Wonderful. Glad. Definitely, trance is a very powerful thing. I love trance. If people say to me, what do you like the most? Mediumship, trance, healing. Simple answer is I love all of them equally because they're all powerful in different ways. And I could never pick or choose one over any other. So I love them all equally. Okay, next question. So we're coming to a point where I'm going to be stopping soon. I generally run for about 90 minutes. So if you want to ask a question, you'll need to get it in quick. Patsy, I pay to have a one-to-one medium readings, and when I get there, they get tarot out and then proceed to read the cards. As a tarot reader, I know the meanings. My argument is they aren't mediums. What's your thoughts? Absolutely. If I'm going for a reading with a medium, I don't want cards. No way. I don't want a psychic reading. I'm not interested in that. That's not what I'm paying for. For me, it comes down to poor practice from the medium. You're either doing a reading or you're doing tarot cards, doing a psychic reading with cards or whatever. And also, I would never do cards for someone unless it's explicit that they know they're getting that. I believe in you should get what you pay for, and what you pay for should be made very clear what's going to happen in the sitting. If I'm paying for a mediumship sitting, mediumship needs no devices. It needs no cards, it needs no stones, it needs no candles, no sage, no nothing. All it needs is the mind of the medium to move, to blend with spirit, to receive information to give to me. It's very, very, very simple. It doesn't need complication. It doesn't need prayers, doesn't need rituals, it doesn't need anything. It doesn't need protection. None of it. Just simple. So I'd be totally agreed with you. I wouldn't be very happy about that. And I would probably then avoid mediums who do that completely. In the UK, it's not very common that they do that, I would argue. I don't know where you're based, Patsy, but all the mediums I've ever been to for a private sitting wouldn't do that. Probably because they're the good ones I go to, but I can think of one or two actually that do. So there you go. I'm starting to find holes in my own arguments. Yes. But no, it's not a good practice. We don't like to see it. And I agree with you. They're not working as mediums if they're doing that. And whenever we do a reading, the whole reading generally isn't completely mediumship because there's always a psychic component. Even when I'm working with spirit, because I've got the person in front of me, I'll be getting some information from them psychically to help illustrate what spirit I've given me. But it'll be predominantly spirit. That's what we would want. Unless the person's asking for a psychic reading. In which case, yeah, you can do that. Martha, thank you. I'll get your evidence course. I love how you explained the why we don't get our own family as well. Nice, yeah. So if you missed that bit, by all means, check out one of my videos on the channel. Why mediums struggle to link with their loved ones. Something along those lines. I shall put a link to it in the comments of this live Q&A and also in the description. You may have to wait 12 hours or so before I can put the links in, but we'll get there in the end. They will be there soon. Julia, I've taken many of your courses. They're all excellent. It's helpful to go back and listen to parts again. The graphics are outstanding, very useful. I've learned so much. Thanks for sharing your gift. Thank you, Julia. That is much appreciated. And with my courses, if I know it, I give it you. I don't hold anything back. I try and communicate it as logically, as simply, as most straightforward as I can. And I try and put in, as say, diagrams to help illustrate it. So if you've never taken one of my courses, feel free to try them. Patsy, exactly what I said. I wasn't impressed. I'm in England as well, but I've been to a few that do it and never advertise they do. Yeah, I agree. They shouldn't do it. It's not good. Martha, inspirational blending the same as automatic writing. Never heard of that. So inspirational writing. So with inspiration, all you're doing with inspiration is blending with the spirit world to receive inspiration. Inspiration is thoughts and words and ideas that come from spirit, that surface through our inspirational link with them. It's like things that appear in your head that are not your thoughts, things that are coming into your mind that are not your thoughts. That's the point. You can do it several ways. You can do it through inspirational writing. You can do it through inspirational speaking. When we start speaking and then we hold that blend, then the thoughts can come in. And I'd say writing is easier to do it to begin with. But some people who are learning to do addresses, they learn inspirational speaking as well. If you're doing trance, that is exactly what inspirational speaking is, but just taken to the next degree, where you're allowing spirit to completely control the flow and the words. Automatic writing. A lot of people say automatic writing, but they don't mean automatic writing. They mean inspirational writing. For me, automatic writing is where I could be now talking to you and my hand is writing here, and what I'm writing is completely, none of it will go through my brain, through my mind. That's automatic writing, is where the information conveyed, the medium isn't even aware of it. The late medium Gordon Higginson, who, as many of you will know, I create a website on Gordon. There's a YouTube channel where you can see Gordon as well that I've created, and a Facebook page as well where I put things up. I love researching Gordon and sharing Gordon's teachings and Gordon's experiences. Gordon Higginson did a demonstration on platform where he did his usual brilliant demonstration, getting evidence and giving it. But he also stood there with some paper on platform and his hand was writing, doing automatic writing. So he gave the link, finished giving the link, and he said, right, I've written another one out at the same time, and this is what it says. And it was completely different from what was given, and was a totally separate link that came through him through automatic writing. The reason it's automatic writing is that he has no awareness of even what's been written down. If you're aware of what you're writing, it's not automatic writing. It's where there is no awareness whatsoever of what you've written down. That's what we mean by it being automatic. At least that's what the purists mean by automatic. But a lot of people say inspirational writing and automatic writing and interchange the two, whereas I delineate the difference because for me they are. Other mediums I know say it's only truly automatic if the medium's hand has actually been moved by a spirit. But that's kind of getting into an extreme of physical mediumship, which I don't go with. For me, my version of automatic writing is where it's not coming through the brain or the mind. So you wouldn't even know what was written. You'd read it and go, wow, where did that come from? That's not me. I don't know anything about that at all. Okay, so hopefully that helps. So Cindy, I prefer a psychic that does not use any tools either. I prefer a medium that doesn't use tools. If it's a psychic, I've got no problem. If they want to use cards, I've got no problem what they want to do with psychic, because psychic, yeah, those tools can help for the psychic, but they're not needed for mediumship. So we've come to the end of the questions. So I do hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have, do hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell and you'll receive notification of all my videos. And basically, yeah, I will be putting a few more out. I can see one more question's crept in. I will answer that one, then that will be the last. So Martha, you asked the difference between mediumship and trance. Not sure what trance is. So evidential mediumship is where we're linked with spirit and we're given information that we receive about loved ones. So I'm linking with someone's mum, I'm getting information about her life, I'm giving that, it's recognized, yes, it's validated, it's mum, and then we give a message. Inspirational mediumship is where we're linking with our own guides and helpers and we're receiving thoughts from them and we're given those and we either write those thoughts down or we speak those thoughts. That's inspirational speaking, inspirational mediumship. We can also do inspirational art as well, where you're drawing and it's inspired from spirit as well. And then trance mediumship is where, with trance mediumship, it's generally used for trance teachings where you quieten your mind, allow spirit to blend with you, and spirit speaks through you. It's receiving teachings, if you like, as close as we can get it direct from spirit. That is the purpose of it. And it's a beautiful thing to do. And at some stage, I'm trying to collate some of my own trance teachings as well. If you follow me on YouTube, you will have seen some of the quotes that I post there that I say this is from my guides, and it's all received through trance. So sometimes things will come through and it's really wonderful. So we'll just share it as a little quote on Facebook. Some of the other ones, some of the earlier ones, they are my thoughts, not necessarily the guides. But check it out check out my YouTube, my Facebook channel, my Facebook page, Martin Twycross, Spiritualist Medium, and you'll see what I'm talking about. I also have a Facebook group, Mediumship Teachings with Martin Twycross. You can join that as well. But one thing you'll need to do is we'll have to have friends in common, or we'll have to have groups in common. I get a huge number of random people who are just not interested, but just want to post crazy things about getting spells taken away and all sorts of weird things. So generally I'll look to see that we've got something in common. So if you hide everything about your profile, I may not accept you. But everyone can click on my like my Facebook page. So hopefully that covers off a great deal for you. If you've enjoyed this, as I say, do hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel. Do leave me a comment if you're watching this on the replay. If you do want to support me, check out my store, check out my courses, my study program, my videos, my audios as well. And if you want to make a donation, you can do that as well through PayPal. There's a PayPal me link in the description, and also there's one pinned at the top of the chat at the moment. So thank you everyone for coming. It's great to have done this with you. Great that you could attend, and I shall look forward to seeing you next month. The next month's one is scheduled for the Sunday, the 24th of April. If you want to try and put that in your diary, fingers crossed it will go ahead that date. I'll let you know if it doesn't. But thanks for coming, and I shall look forward to seeing you all again in the next one. Bye for now.